Okay guys, so we have the Black Clover chapter 325 spoilers, and alongside the leaked images like we have every week, we also this time actually have a full chapter summary. It's kind of brief and doesn't go into too much details, but we still have a full summary of the entire chapter beat by beat of what's going to be happening. And from this chapter, it looks like that Yuno actually might end up being the MVP of the chapter, and Asta might be more of a hindrance in this fight than he is helpful. Anyway, let's jump right into the summary, which before I get into that, I do want to mention that the summary that we're reading off isn't the best translation of a summary that I've read. I mean, it's the only one I could find that was actually a paragraph and not just a bunch of bullet points, so I wanted to go for this one. So we're going to have to kind of put up with the fact that it's not the best English and just kind of interpret things as we go about it. Anyway, jumping into the summary, it starts off with Asta has 2 minutes of union left, which is actually pretty cool to find out because I kinda was up in the air whether or not he actually had any time left on his double union, but considering how long he was actually kind of on the sidelines while the captains were fighting Lucifer while he was still in his double union, I kind of figured that his double union might have actually basically ran out of time at that point. But I guess when he got knocked out of it by Lucifer, that actually was at the 2 minute mark, so that left him with 2 minutes left. Now that he's kinda healed back up, he can go back into the fight with those last 2 minutes and try to help out, although like I said earlier, it seems like he's going to be more of a hindrance, and we'll get into that actually in this next part. Asta's anti-magic attacks is not compatible with Nock and Yami's spell since it erases magic. It would just keep chipping away at their spell, decreasing its range, and Nock and Yami wouldn't be able to spring up anywhere in the field by dipping into the shadows. So basically what this is saying is that once Asta actually goes into a double union, he's emitting anti-magic, which is kinda dispersing the playground that Nock and Yami created in the last chapter to be able to just kind of pop up out of nowhere and attack Lucifer from different directions and angles. And this actually is going to hinder their ability to attack him, because that was actually the main reason why they managed to land an attack on Lucifer and actually damage him in the last chapter, because this Devil's Playground was basically, or not Devil's Playground, what do they call it, Child's Playground, was actually allowing them to, like I said, to pop up from the shadows wherever they wanted, send multiple clones at him. By basically decreasing its range and hindering it, Asta's actually taking away the main attack power that Yami and Nock had. Now, it's actually kind of a good trade-off though, because you got the anti-magic, which is actually the best weapon they have against Lucifer, but still, this kind of hinders what Nock and Yami can do. That's why I said that it seems like Asta's actually going to be more of a hindrance in this fight than helpful. Oh, and by the way, we actually kind of saw something like this happen back when Asta was training under Nock to learn how to use the double union, because the first time he successfully activated it, he was emitting enough anti-magic around him to disperse the playground that actually Nock had used against him at that point. So this is actually not new information. We already kind of knew this would happen once his double union was activated. When Asta does double union, anti-magic flows throughout his body and over a little distance from his body, and then it stops, like we've seen in this fight against Nock. Alright, so like I just said, back when he was training with Nock how to use double union, the first time he successfully activated, he basically emitted the anti-magic around him, kind of like he's doing in this chapter. And now with some shadow magic erased, Yami gets his arm broken and Asta saves him. Alright, so, I'm sorry, he saves Asta. So I'm guessing when Asta goes into an attack, or maybe Lucifer actually goes after Asta, based on some of the images we've seen, I'm thinking more the latter than the former, we get Yami jumping in to save him. And this is actually kind of interesting because the text here says that his arm only gets broken, but in some of the images I've seen of Yami in this chapter, it actually looks like his hand was cut off. Now, we don't see any blood, we don't see him actually missing a hand. There's just like certain panels and certain pages where it looks like Tabata did not draw his hand. So it might just be that he was hiding his hand behind stuff, like there's an image of him with a star over one of his hands from, Star Magic. So maybe that's the case, maybe Tabata, because he drew the star there, just did not draw the hand behind it. But keep in mind that there's a possibility that in this chapter, Yami might actually end up losing one of his hands. Asta goes to attack Lucifer, but misses, and Lucifer breaks Asta's leg. Alright, so this is actually one of the images I did see, and we see that Asta's actually going in. Like, for some reason he's upside down, he's actually trying to swipe at Lucifer with his sword, but Lucifer apparently jumps out of the way in this image and kicks Asta's leg, breaking it. And the way it's broken, I mean, it's not bent or anything, but it looks like it's getting very close to bending in that image. So yeah, Asta's leg is done for in this chapter. Yuno goes to save Asta and uses Borealis, or is it Borealis or Boreas? I'm gonna say Boreas because that sounds better. He uses Boreas, but it gets broken and his form gets chipped away. So yeah, Yuno is basically out of the fight already. At least he's not gonna be able to do any real damage to Lucifer. Like I mentioned before, his Saint Stage realistically should be able to hurt Lucifer somewhat We haven't seen it happen just yet, but maybe some kind of boost might happen to him, like what happened back when they were fighting Zagred. That will give him the ability to do a little bit of damage to Lucifero. But now that's not going to happen. Like, I thought there was a possibility that might happen in this chapter or in the next chapter. But according to this text and one of the leaked images I've seen, it does look like Yuno completely gets knocked out of his spirit dive in this chapter. Yuno has decided to place his faith in William's sword, aka meaning he's going to put all his bets on Yami to end Lucifero by teleporting him either left or right. So basically what this is saying is that Yuno is actually putting his bets on Yami to be the one to take down Lucifero, because apparently throughout the majority of the chapter, or at least from the translated pages we have, it seems like Nock and Yuno are both questioning to themselves who should they bet their final attack on. Should they back up Yuno or back up Yami to land the final attack on Lucifero, or should they back up Asta? Nock mentions in one of the translated pages that Asta is their best and strongest weapon against them, but because of the fact that he actually managed to miss Lucifero once, maybe they're questioning whether or not he actually can land the final hit and decide to put their bets on Yuno or Yami instead. And based on the summary, it does seem like it actually is Yami they're placing their bets on, which, by the way, the summary does not mention that at some point in the chapter near the end of it, Yuno does use his star magic to actually save Yami after his spirit dive actually gets broken by Lucifero. So again, this is actually supporting the idea that he's actually betting on Yami to be the one to take down Lucifero. But from that final page that we have of the chapter that's leaked out, there's actually two translations out that are going around on Twitter. One says that he's actually putting his bets on Yami. The other one says he's putting his bet on Asta, who has William's sword. And as of right now, as I'm recording this video, based on the leaked images we have and these summaries, there's no clear indication of which one's right. Is it going to be Yami who has William's sword who's going to be landing the final attack on Lucifero, or they're betting on landing the final attack? Or is it actually that Asta at some point actually gets William's sword and he's going to be the one to land the final attack? Most likely, until the chapter comes out on Friday, we won't actually know what's actually going to end up happening. But I'm actually looking forward to reading this chapter because, like I said, it looks like Yuno is going to be kind of the MVP of the chapter. Because according to the leaked images we have in the summary, he's going around saving everyone left and right, basically putting his body on the line to protect the two key fighters in this fight from Lucifero. I don't have any mention of what Nock does throughout the entire chapter besides question who they should back up more, Yami or Asta. I'm hoping he actually does do something because he was actually kind of cool in the last chapter, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of that in this next one. But yeah, it's pretty much it for the leaked images and the leaked summary of the chapter. We don't really have much else to go over. Although, before I end the video, I do want to mention that Black Clover actually will be getting the cover page for the next issue of Shonen Jump and a lead color page in the next chapter. So in chapter 326, we're actually going to get a color page of this fight, which leads me to think that this fight's going to end in the next chapter. So I'm actually looking forward to seeing exactly how it ends, because either at this point it's going to be Yami or Asta, or maybe both of them together, tag teaming and landing the final hit on Lucifero. Who knows? Anyway guys, that's it for the video. Thanks for watching. I really do hope you all enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys think about the spoilers for this week, and if you're looking forward to this chapter. But that's it for the video guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.